The cafeteria went silent the moment the tray hit the floor. Milk exploded across the tiles. French fries scattered under sneakers. And in the middle of the chaos stood a thin, trembling boy named Caleb, his face burning red while laughter echoed around him like a storm he could never escape. 3 older boys towered over him, recording everything on their phones, shoving him from shoulder to shoulder while hundreds of students watched and did absolutely nothing. Then the new girl stepped forward. Before anyone understood what was happening, Vanessa Carter grabbed the phone from the tallest bully's hand and slammed it onto the cafeteria table so hard the screen shattered. The laughter died instantly. Her eyes burned with a fury that made the entire room freeze. She stood beside Caleb like a shield, fearless and unshaken, while the bullies stared at her in disbelief. And that was only her first day at Westbrook High School in Ohio. If you believe kindness still matters in this world and that everyone deserves a second chance, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that one brave person can change someone's entire life. Vanessa had arrived in town only 3 days earlier with her widowed father after years of moving from city to city. She carried herself differently from the other students. Quiet but observant. Strong without trying to appear tough. Most people at school assumed she was just another transfer student trying to survive senior year unnoticed. But they didn't know the kind of life she had lived before Westbrook. Back in Texas, Vanessa had spent years protecting her younger brother Mason from violent kids in their neighborhood. Mason had been born with a speech disorder, and cruel children treated him like an easy target. Vanessa learned early that silence only empowered bullies. She learned how humiliation could slowly destroy someone from the inside. But 2 years earlier, Mason died in a car accident on a rainy highway, and Vanessa never recovered from the guilt of not being there that night. Since then, every lonely child reminded her of him. That was why, the moment she saw Caleb trembling in that cafeteria, she couldn't stay seated. Caleb Turner was the kind of boy people ignored unless they wanted someone to mock. He wore oversized hoodies every day, kept his eyes down in the hallways, and spent lunch periods alone near the vending machines. Rumors spread constantly about him. Some students claimed he was weird. Others called him broken. The truth was far sadder. Caleb's mother worked double shifts at a nursing home while his father sat in prison hundreds of miles away. Years of neglect and isolation had turned him into the perfect victim. And the bullies knew it. Tyler Brooks and his friends ruled Westbrook High through fear. Teachers looked away because Tyler's father donated money to the school football program. Students stayed silent because nobody wanted to become the next target. Every day Caleb endured insults, shoved books, cruel videos online, and endless humiliation. He had learned to survive by pretending none of it hurt, even while it slowly crushed him inside. But Vanessa changed the balance the moment she stood beside him. The school buzzed with rumors after the cafeteria incident. Some students admired her courage. Others warned her she had made a dangerous mistake. Tyler was furious. Nobody had ever embarrassed him publicly before. The next few days became a silent war. Locker doors slammed near Vanessa's head. Fake rumors spread online about her. Someone spray-painted insults across her parking spot. Yet she refused to react. Instead, she started sitting with Caleb every lunch period, walking him to class, and forcing the rest of the school to see the human being they had ignored for years. For the first time in months, Caleb slowly began to smile again. But bullies rarely stop quietly. One rainy Friday evening after football practice, Tyler and 2 friends cornered Caleb behind the gymnasium. They shoved him against the brick wall, mocking him while rain soaked through his clothes. One of them live-streamed the attack while students nearby pretended not to notice. Caleb tried to protect himself, but years of fear had drained all strength from him. Then headlights cut through the darkness. Vanessa had returned to school after realizing she forgot her jacket in art class. The moment she saw the boys surrounding Caleb, something inside her snapped. She sprinted across the rain-covered pavement without hesitation. Tyler barely turned around before Vanessa tackled him into the muddy ground. The live-stream phone flew into a puddle while shocked students gathered around the fight. But what stunned everyone most wasn't the fight itself. It was what Vanessa screamed through tears while standing over Caleb protectively. She screamed that she was tired of watching good people suffer while everyone else stayed comfortable. Tired of schools pretending bullying was harmless. Tired of lonely kids going home believing nobody cared whether they lived or disappeared forever. Her voice cracked as she admitted she had once lost someone she loved because the world had been too cruel for too long. And suddenly the crowd understood this was never only about Caleb. It was about every invisible child who had ever suffered alone. The video spread across social media that weekend, but not in the way Tyler expected. Students began sharing their own stories about bullying and depression. Parents demanded action from the school board. Teachers who had ignored Caleb finally acknowledged the damage being done inside their hallways. Tyler and his friends were suspended indefinitely, and for the first time in years, fear no longer controlled Westbrook High. But the biggest change happened quietly. One Monday morning, Caleb walked into school without his hoodie covering his face. He looked nervous, but different somehow. Stronger. Students who once ignored him greeted him in the hallway. A girl from his science class invited him to sit with her friends. Even teachers noticed he finally raised his hand in class. Vanessa watched it all from her locker with tears quietly filling her eyes. Because she knew something most people never understand. Sometimes saving a person doesn't require superpowers. Sometimes it only takes one human being brave enough to stand beside someone everyone else abandoned. Before this story ends, I want you to comment the word kindness below if you believe one act of courage can truly change a life forever. Months later, Caleb would write an essay for graduation describing the night Vanessa defended him in the rain. In the final sentence, he admitted there had once been a moment when he believed the world would be better without him in it. But one person's compassion changed that belief completely. And Vanessa, the girl who arrived at Westbrook High carrying grief heavy enough to drown her, finally began healing too. Because sometimes, when we save someone else, we unknowingly save ourselves. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. You never know who might need to hear a story like this today.